Mind the culture.
Mind your
Culture
culture.
in
My
your
culture.
mind.
Culture in
Culture
mind.
and mind.
This is the podcast for the culture.
Hi, and welcome to another Mind Culture podcast. Today we have Krõõt Juurak, a performer and what I would consider a conceptual artist. We're gonna talk about the influence on internet, the effect that art has on the society, and how we can benefit ourselves. This podcast is taking place in Ankersaal in Kulturhaus Broodfabriek, who was kind enough to lend us this space. This podcast is possible thanks to Viral Visions, European Erasmus Plus project, as well as BMKS Austria. So let's enjoy this conversation. Why performing for pets?
Oh, this is how you want to start? Okay.
No, I mean you're known for this.
I'm known for
Let's
this.
get it out of the way as soon as we can. Then we can go a little bit more to your recent project. Where did it start? Like how did it start, this idea?
Yeah. I mean, the danger with this is that then you will have so many questions, and I end up I kind of go to like a robot mode, or like a, what do you call this, broken record, because I've answered these questions like so many times, and I almost stop thinking. So I'm a bit like I don't wanna
I have another
start
question
saying
then.
anything.
So we all know like there's thousands of interviews with you about that, but I'm actually
Not thousands, but maybe 100.
nice. But I'm more curious is like, so this thing has brought you on the map, not only in the contemporary dance world, but also, let's say, in a more mainstream way. So you start to exist on internet, start to exist in Vice.
Yeah,
And-
virally kind of, I guess that's an existence too, like as a internet viral thing,
Almost a meme, I would say.
almost.
And my question is, how do you feel with that? How do you feel? How did it change you? Like, was it something that you enjoy happening? Was it something that influenced you in any way, or you just live the same life as you used to live?
Well, I guess I still live the same exactly life as I used to live, but it has been interesting. I guess at first it was exciting, and then I somehow saw this kind of how the internet works basically, and that it has nothing to do with my project. So I kind of like distanced myself from this altogether. Like there's a lot of comments, and some of them are good, but mostly it's just really bad comments and people making fun, and sometimes not in a nice way. But I mean that helped also, because then I didn't really feel like this was anyway my, it's more all the media that need their clicks, and then they find this project and it really fulfills the criteria for the clicks, which is pets and artists, and that somehow fuels the internet. But now I'm also like, well, it's actually quite useful, because maybe if I introduce myself to you and then you actually have already heard of me, maybe it makes it easier for us to meet, and I'm not just like a complete stranger from somewhere from East Europe like
Yeah.
yourself.
So what we are talking about right now is the very, very famous performance by Krõõt, performing for pets. Oh,
It's called Performances for Pets, and I do this with Alex Bailey.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it's you basically go to into private homes, as I understand it, and basically do short performances for animals,
Yeah.
for cats, for dogs. The different versions I learned from watching other interviews, and there was a Vice video and other viral content on it. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, and then since the Vice, we also decided that we perform for dogs only in museums and theaters and other like public spaces, indoor spaces, because it works better for the dogs. Like they enjoy more space, And for cats, we are even now also going to their homes. So yeah, we've improved it somehow.
Nice. Yeah, well, let's circle back to the so-called critique, maybe, because I watched those videos on YouTube and I'm just wondering, like, I mean, the art is not always something mainstream, right? And there is a certain kind of art like that that gets hyped because it has the keywords in, like you said, like the pets and maybe something with edginess, some kind of not normal, like art is not something normal, so like we're drawn to look at it, and then we kind of compare it to our own like more utilitarian kind of life, and some people perhaps get frustrated by that, I imagine, like that this is something cool that some other people do and they cannot do this, and then they start to write those not so nice comments, and I'm just wondering, like, do you even care, or should you care?
Yeah, obviously, why would I do this work otherwise? I think it has. I mean, it also, of course, it was just a very simple and rather silly idea that we then continued to do, and I think that's why. So there is nothing very brilliant about the idea itself, because I mean, I think many people had it, but it's just that we actually did it, and I retroactively then I see like it points to some very like painful points, which is like art that's not for humans, that is irritating for some people, and then also that art, like let's say the idea of art is slightly that it is something inaccessible, what do you call that, elitist. So
Right.
and then to take that idea and then say like, well, actually humans aren't good enough for this, we are focusing on pets, is double irritating maybe, like both for the art people who feel like they are included in the art world, but also those that are anyway not included, and then they're like, oh, this is why the world is ending, and it like just really represents everything that's wrong with the world. While for this, like let's say the people who are on more like on our side, maybe we don't have a side. I mean, it's just this is what we do. But let's say there are also the movement for animal rights, and of course we strongly support animal rights, and it's also maybe helped us become more activists in the way, like to become vegetarian, and due to this project, because we started off like, well, we're just doing some theater for pets, and then going more and more conferences that had to do with animal rights, and staying at the hotel, and it did not look good to take bacon with your breakfast. And
I
so
see.
that's how it started. And now, of course, we're, of course, like, it's not of course, but I would not even consider not eating meat anymore. Like it's just, but it's thanks to the project. So.
Okay, I mean, the world is ending, but I don't think some people doing, like two people doing just extremely goofy things, I don't think it has any influence on that. Like, I mean, just, I always like the saying, like, live and let live, because, I mean, it is on internet, but, I mean, just let it go. Why do you even care? Like,
Also,
if it's
if you
something
watched
you
it,
don't
that's
like,
on you, right?
exactly. Like, it's your time. Like, you choose to click on this shit, and I mean, not to disrespect. I just use it in a as in content, but then, like, okay, you don't like it. It doesn't matter. It
So if
doesn't
anyone
matter.
is listening to this and they're like, "What is this?" Then it's if you're listening, it's already your own fault. And
Yes. I mean, don't click on it. I mean, you can blame the media for creating the article, But don't blame the artist. I mean, artist is just doing their thing. And I think it's not always useful to do only the useful things, I would say. I mean, you could probably argue that there is something useful in what you're doing, but even if there wasn't, then I think there is a big utility in not doing the useful things because, how to say, I believe that too much order leads to totalitarianism, and that we don't want that.
Yeah, and I mean, we're in the arts for a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe not for usefulness in the first place.
I think society needs disruption in order to exist, in order to sustain itself. Like it needs to constantly have this like little opposing force. And I would even argue that in the Western society, like this disruption of called art is very, very controlled because there are all these fundings, all the structures. So it's like it's a very controlled disruption. So, but there are also those societies where the disruption is not controlled, and I think art thrives there as well.
I mean, this whole project came about because I felt like what I can't rephrase you better, but I felt that way, and then I used the metaphor of the pet as the ideal disruption and orderlessness. But also, as you know, like pets have a lot of rules, and they need to also work with their restrictions, and they're extremely good at this. Like without, so, like, they never stop being themselves. They know how to be flexible, and so this is like it's a kind of the neoliberal model of the artist performer as well. So like I felt so much affinity towards pets already since I was a teenager. So this was like only kind of a natural way to make this show. It wasn't like, oh, it's the pets over there, but like these are also our colleagues and we respect them mainly, but also try to see if we can be good enough.
Yeah, I once read, like in some of your interviews, I read that artists are like pets. I hope I somehow quote the thought correctly, but I can see it like as I understand it, like artists are pets of the society in a way, and I don't know. That
Or
thought,
rather, pets are artists of the society. Like it could be either way, and they are. Maybe there used to be this saying like artists are just pets or almost like parasites because they aren't really doing anything. But now it's quite the opposite. Like pets can show us how to deal with the stress of the everyday and the exploitations that we have to face, and they are way ahead actually.
yeah, they can be themselves regardless.
Yeah.
I think that brings me to another point, which is like, are you a conceptual artist? And what would it mean, a conceptual art? Because I have the feeling that whatever you do, like, it's not just the craftsmanship of dance or the craftsmanship of choreography, or writing, but there's always some sort of I don't know, profound conceptual idea. And I'm just wondering, like, what is conceptual art? Maybe what is your relationship with it, and what is the value of it for you?
Yeah, if maybe you're right. I mean, I'm really bad at finishing things and at doing things skillfully. Like I aim for perfection, but I really never make it there. So having an idea is, I guess, necessary to have anything at all for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like
So
I
you put your
never-
effort somewhere in a different stage of the process. Let's put it like
yeah,
this.
and I mean, I also easily forget or just like I don't finish. Otherwise, the process would just stay. I mean, I would not do anything if I didn't have an idea or a strong thing to hold it together, almost to perform itself for me, and then I like go with it and see what happens. I was never like I like conceptual art, and I also think it's very how do you say, maybe slightly elitist, and
Slightly.
or very elitist. It's not it's not something that speaks to everyone.
I mean, if it's very good, then it can be understood by a lot of people. And
In a
like,
way, yeah. A few of the conceptual art pieces have become memes lately, and I'm happy to see that. Like, oh, okay, it does actually speak to the millennials as well. And
can you give the examples?
I forget the artist name, but it's a sunset, and it says someone's therapist knows everything about you. I guess it's a painting, but I probably say it's a conceptual art work.
I think once the idea is very clearly, I think once the idea is maybe more dominant than the craftsmanship, I think then it becomes conceptual art. I would imagine.
But then this is not because I would. Yeah, and it's also a way for someone who doesn't have a lot of persistence to still get away with something.
Is it good? Because I'm
The
sorry,
ideas are good.
I'm so sorry to say that, but I really have a problem with that because I come from the, how to say, side of craftsmanship, and I almost feel like because of the way the funding structure in Europe is, there is always the text first. There's always the application, right? Written application first. So it does prioritize people with ideas versus people with just craft or the other end of the artwork. So I'm just wondering if, I mean, I'm really happy that both exist, but I'm wondering if you feel like there has been like a privilege that you've earned by doing things
But
this way.
I don't know if this is surprising for you, but I also hate the way that I have to have an idea before I start working, because the ideas aren't the first thing. Or first I'm lost for a couple of years. And
Well,
then,
this I can relate to.
yeah, but I cannot first write the project. It just comes. I mean, the ideas come, but you can. I mean, this is not like, I do not feel different from you in that sense. Like, maybe I don't follow a craft as such. Like, I'm just scrolling on the internet most of the time, but that's my craft. But still, I do not enjoy first making the project, first writing the project, and it even, I feel like superstitiously, it almost kills the work for me.
Okay, so in
So
this
I've tried
way,
to like first come up with the work, and then afterwards write it down as an idea, and then try to get some money, like after.
right. So in this way, we are similar. But yeah, okay. So which kind of artist is this system for? I guess the answer to this question isn't.
We don't know.
I don't know. I don't know
Don't know
either.
anyone.
Who is this system for? I think this system only prioritizes the officials, just for them to have an easy job. Because
It's not easy to get rid of money, It's
it's so not easy. I mean, it's still better than calling your friends, which happens a lot as well. But I guess it's still not
Wait,
an
calling your friends for money?
No, calling like once you're in government, like then you just call your friends to give them money. Because there is also this system, right? There is also
I don't know about this system. Yeah.
this system definitely exists.
Okay.
But of course, the application system is also not great. Like I freaking hate it. Like it took me so long to just learn to write, and it's still, I feel like it's. I mean, I've been writing thousands of applications. Maybe some of them
Maybe
with the same
hundreds.
hundreds.
You're sure?
Let's say 100. It could be up to 1,000, but
That's a lot.
there's been texts that been in many. Let's put it like this. Maybe around 100 different texts. Let's put it like this. And it's a process, and you get better at it. But in the end, it's just like it feels so. it still feels so artificial. Like it only works if I have already done the project, and then I know exactly what the project is about, like you said, and then I can write about it. But then once I start working, like of course I cannot do the same process. I have to do suddenly a different project. But the
Then you're
text is
just
from the project from
pretending
before.
to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like a crazy loop where it's like, and then suddenly every project is connected to the project before because you just have to, because you wrote an application about the project before. So now the next project has to have the same topic, but you would like to work on something else. So it's strange. It's a strange thing.
Oh my, yeah, I'm not sure I even want to think about how strange it is. And we're also not, you're supposed to just make it look like it's completely natural to, I have been like applying for money for a long time with the same project. And I feel like, I think it's gonna be over soon. And I still haven't like got funding.
Oh,
But it's
how long?
maybe 4 years. But I mean, it's still going well. And I also received the Arbeitsstipendium this year.
Okay,
So
awesome.
that's great.
Well, that's very
Yeah.
good. That is a big achievement.
Yes. Thank you.
They
Yeah.
probably thought like, oh, just give her something. You know, like the scene in the Shawshank Redemption when he's writing, you know, the movie Shawshank Redemption. He's writing to the like in a jail. The main character is writing to the authorities in order to get more books for the jail library, and he's writing like every day until they get tired of him, and they send him the books, and then he writes more letters.
Okay, I do not know the film.
But it's so meaningful. I have it like whenever I'm writing applications, I have this scene in my heart. Because
That's a
it's,
very interesting reference.
I mean, I mean, you can think of your life as an artist as a being in Shawshank. I don't know. It's too profound to think too much about it. Otherwise, it gets depressive.
I'm more imagining like I'm just this kitty cat, like using my paws, trying to like type in,
Okay.
I need some money, and as best as I can. Yeah, but I mean, also it's okay, and
Yeah, I mean, it's still a beautiful
still a
thing
beautiful
to do.
life, it's beautiful work.
Yeah. I mean, so many people struggle by doing what they hate to do, you know, every day. And this is like, okay, there is a big suffering in being an artist, but it's still, in the end, you kind of committed to the vision and to the mission and to your own ideals and like the thing that you love and passion, basically. And I think this in itself like is spreading the love to the society, I would say.
I think I can hear you, and I think I know what you are talking about. But I'm also not fully like, I cannot identify with passion and having
You don't have
like
passion.
a drive. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, for a long time, I also didn't think, I mean, I'm an artist by trade, but I never really, I also have the thing called imposter syndrome, I guess. So I never like felt like I'm actually just cheating my way through. And I'm pretending most of the time. And because I never had,
You feel like this, or you
Yeah.
actually pretend?
no, I feel like I'm pretending, or yeah, I don't know, honestly. Like, you know, sometimes you just pretend so much that you don't, that's you.
Yes.
I don't know if this
Yes.
makes any sense, but yes.
There's this saying, fake it till you make it.
Okay, so
I
I
hate
faked
this
it,
saying.
but I don't know if I've made it. But in a way, I've gained So when I was younger, in my 20s, I felt like somehow very insecure and inadequate because I didn't have passions, or I didn't have special interests, and I couldn't quite decide if it was dance or if it was whatever. I didn't care even. I was just getting by. So I've been just getting by this whole time. And now I feel like that is the funniest thing that I've done. And that is actually my passion, is to
just get by.
try to get by and try to not work too much and still get by. Does that?
So you're like a punk in a way, a little bit?
If that's what punks do, yes. I do not know what they do. Maybe.
I mean, you're like some kind of a societal outcast in this way, I would say. Because you're not doing what they ask you to do.
Well, yeah, like
Not
it's
contributing
somehow-
100% your capacity to
So my
the betterment
character,
of
yeah.
human race.
But my character is a bit like I rather say no than yes. It comes easy to me. Like bad mood comes easier than good mood, and enthusiasm is hard work. So I also like can't how, like, and I kind of made this my like calling to say like, hey, if you're an artist, it's just a job, and you do not need to be very passionate about it. You can also just do it like it's just another job. And like then once I started to teach this to students, then I
So you
felt
teach this to
very-
other people?
Yes, I mean that's how I learn, is by teaching. So that's when I started to feel very liberated as an artist. I was like, wow, I'm free now, because this is like it's kind of obvious. If you're an artist, you can do whatever you want, and you can even define what artist is. And yet it somehow like it took me so many years to figure that out.
So that sounds to me like a little bit like a peak of conceptual art, but just like a conceptual art of living, where it's like you kind of subvert what the society would expect from an artist, which is to be absolutely passionate and driven and so on. Whereas like there is a giant subversion from your side, which I have to say I somehow respect.
Thank you. I mean, and also it's not just because, it's such a brilliant idea, but I kind of had to do it,
Yeah.
due to circumstances.
And tell me about dark humor, like is the or humor in general, let's put it like this.
Dark and light.
It's because I can see like this in itself is a very, I mean, for me, like every kind of subversion is very funny. Like I've always like I can relate to you a little bit. Like I've always been trying to do the things. Actually, let's put it like this: I've always been trying to not do the things that I have to do, unless I really find a reason to do them. Like for example, doing my tax declaration is something that I wouldn't not do. Whereas like there are some rules in the society, and I already experienced it on the like public education level, where it's like I would say to myself like, fuck this is stupid, I don't like it, I'm gonna do it things my way. But still there's been a lot of passion involved in this. But what I'm trying to say, there's always like an element of dark humor once you start doing it, because suddenly like you just see that the things that you're expected to do are kind of absurd sometimes, and it's somehow funny not to do them, also somehow funny to question them. And I don't know, I wonder if you experience this way, and then we can go to your experience with comedy in general.
I don't know if I'm really silly, because I do not really understand how humor works. And I like, it's really, maybe I should think about it. But I don't know, I probably have, but that's probably why it's very fascinating also, because even if you start talking about humor, it disappears.
Yeah, of course.
Like we get really deeply serious.
Yeah, I mean,
right
I
at
have
this
a big
moment.
troubles to be funny.
But we were very funny before, but now that we
Now
bring
it's
up
gone,
humor, it's out of the window.
But what I'm trying to say is like, do you find yourself doing things to yourself and to your life just because they're funny or absurd or nonsensical? Can you relate to this?
I think that is probably this feeling like I have this inside joke, but it's just between me and myself.
Right.
And that is extremely good and important to have. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is, yeah, there is something very beautiful in doing this, I would say.
And I mean I also forget this, and it's nice that you ask, because I like I learned to do the clown horn a few days ago.
What is a
Something like,
clown horn?
ha 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 ha. No, I lost it now. Fa 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 fa. And I used this on a bike, like just instead of the bell. And I also, it's not my idea. I just saw the comedian Tig Notaro, who I really love, do this and she uses that in a lot of different contexts. And I was like, first of all, how to do this? It took me maybe several months to learn.
Seriously?
Yes, it's
that
very
difficult?
simple, but I don't know. But I'm not quick. let's say.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And I didn't do it also all day long. So, but I was happy to finally learn this and use it on the bike.
Yeah. I think this is some kind of a prank.
Maybe, yeah. It's like pranks that no one really even cares about. I think that's the kind of pranks I like, and just for you only.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? Why not? Tell me about your experience, because you tried or like you had this idea of doing stand-up, and you did it. And how was it? Like, what context? And I don't know, are you writing? Because I saw you writing stories. I was wondering if you're also writing jokes. And then, like, what is the process? Are you gonna develop it? How is it? I know about comedians, and I listen to a lot of comedians, but I never had the guts to go in this direction into speaking, you know.
Well, me neither. But then I did. It's. I think I noticed that I am making jokes also in my performative work, and they've always like tickled me. Like I found it very funny to do that, and I will also continue to do them. But I never dared to actually go to this like Irish pub on a Sunday afternoon and stand on some dirty stage and tell jokes. Like that is much scarier for 5 minutes, and I had the guts to do that like finally last summer.
And
I didn't get killed, or metaphorically only half killed maybe, because the terminology is quite funny. It's if you're doing badly, you're bombing, and if you're doing well, you're killing. But also you can get killed by the audience, and I guess the feeling is quite.
What does it mean?
distinct.
Get killed by the audience when they
Like you
hacker
die. You basically die. Yeah.
you? You die inside.
Inside,
So you
or
bomb
it's just
like crazy.
out. Yeah, down. But it's very. Yeah, it's like sports almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think being Eastern European is already funny in itself to a certain degree. Especially being, you know, in the Western society, which is like so organized, and you're like coming from this I don't care attitude.
There is a lot of East Europeans in the scene as well, and also, of course, Americans.
Yeah, Americans are always the best of comedy. Because they know language. What kind of language did you do it in?
English.
English.
Yes, I have been. So you asked about writing, and I recently discovered that speaking is also writing. So I don't write, but I use my phone to talk to it.
Uh-huh.
And that's how I write.
And then
And
you
that's
use
much
Google
easier
to
than-
just transcribe it?
And don't even transcribe it, to be honest. I mean, yeah, maybe I should, because I never go through my notes. There are just like
So does it
many
make
hours of it.
sense to write like this? Because like if you don't read it anymore, then it's just like not writing it in the first place.
It doesn't make as much sense, but otherwise I don't write at all, and then I have nothing at all. So it makes sense for me.
Right. Well, that reminds me of all these notes that I'm always taking when I'm like creating something or learning something, and then I never look at them again, ever. But sometimes I do, like sometimes.
And it's good, because otherwise you wouldn't have time to like live, or like all these notes we take.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But yeah, with comedy, I think, I don't know if it's even a defined genre, but if it would be a genre, it would be something to do with therapy, comedy about psychotherapy.
That's your thing.
I'm so into that, and I have actually I also find it very therapeutic, and like I'm not good with advice or people like seriously telling me how to do things, but if someone's making it actually funny, then I can learn and relate. So
But also like giving someone a bad advice intentionally or not intentionally, it's also funny.
yeah.
I think it can be very edgy.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be good things, but it's very fascinating. And recently I think more and more comedians are also, instead of making jokes about minorities and
Yeah, the classic
gay
things.
people, then they would just talk about what their therapist told them. And I'm also so my current project is called performance therapy, and it's probably, I didn't know what it is at first. I thought maybe I just don't want to work anymore, and as not a big, that's not
if
surprising.
you ever did.
Yes,
No,
but
right?
so I was like, now I will fully stop working, and I will just go to therapy. But so now it looks more like I'm actually working, and my therapist is like my dramaturg,
But so you have like a therapist involved on the project.
but not officially. She knows that she knows what I do, but then again, I haven't asked her. But it goes kind of without saying that I can say what she told me.
Okay, so
Publicly.
you go to like
And I pay her.
therapy, you pay for the therapy.
Yes. And then
but-
that's my project. That's
Okay.
my rehearsal space, basically. And it's also more often than not, I find it hilarious. Not at the moment when I'm there, but as soon as I come out, maybe I'm like feeling a bit down, and then an hour or so later, I'm like, this is good material. So that's the project for my stipendium this year.
Yeah, I find it always really fascinating, like when there are those projects, like when you are able to convince those officials that this is an art project and there is a value in doing it. Because I also know projects about like going to Amazonian jungle and taking drugs. Those projects, or like there was the famous project in Linz when I was there about giving, what was it? Giving bread and butter to the chimpanzees. To the gorillas in Uganda. Because it's like a traditional Austrian offering. And the project was about like going to Uganda and offering the bread to the gorillas. Yeah, that's the kind of art.
But with
It is-
butter.
I don't know exactly.
I wonder if the gorillas actually even like butter.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Maybe
don't
I'm just saying it wrong, but there was
I
definitely
once offered
bread.
a horse like a bread with cheese on, and the horse was disgusted by the cheese. It was like
Oh no.
ugh, the worst thing it ever had tasted. So I don't know about the butter.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm just saying that I'm probably saying it completely wrong, but there's this gesture in Austria, like the gesture of hospitality, and they just wanted to do it with gorillas, and I think this is, I mean,
What the
So-
Austrian gesture of hospitality is to give bread with butter.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, look, it's not very original.
No, and also not so like I would expect a bit more maybe. I could relate to if that was the Polish gesture or Estonian, because it's a simple meal and so on. But
Okay.
thought
Now
at
we're going
least it
to a
would be like-
territory
we don't know.
of judgment.
Yeah, we don't know basically.
We are judging our own cultures. Please.
No,
No, I'm
we're-
joking.
No,
But
of course not.
like when did you come to Austria actually? And why? Why would you come to Austria?
I don't know.
Okay.
I
You don't know when?
I don't know when and I don't know why, but I sometime around the time when Estonia joined the EU,
It was time.
and some people still ask me if Estonia is in the EU actually. But yes, that's about 15 years ago. And I had a residency in the Tanzquartier. It was called Kulturkontakt Austria, inviting all these East European artists to participate. And it was 2 months long, but I stayed extra.
Extra long. Yeah. I think when I came to Austria, they were also asking me like, but do you need a visa to be here? Like there was like, but to be honest, there was like, it was also like when I came to Austria, there was this period of 1.5 years where we couldn't officially work. Like
When was
we
that?
were not, I think 2009. We were not allowed, like for the 1.5 years, I was not allowed to officially work. And that's not good if you don't have money
It's not good.
to study. But somehow I made it, thanks to the generous Austrian
And you
down-to-earth
made
culture.
it, and you even stayed a little extra. And
Exactly.
But I was also recently thinking that Austria is a good place for me because I never kind of decided for it. But also most people here don't want to be here, or like there's the culture of
Can you tell
dissatisfaction.
me a little bit more?
There is
about
this. There is a. Is it called at least Vienna? There's a Viennese Krõõt, and it's most people here don't want to be here. So I feel like I belong.
So you relate to this feeling
I
of not
no.
wanting to be here.
Yeah, and I'm like, maybe there's a reason why I'm here. It's not as random as I thought, because it's always been hard for me to make any decisions, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why.
So there is like a place where you get stuck. You want to leave, but you get stuck.
But it's also like not a very specific place. Well, no, that I don't want to be unfair now, but it's quite specific. But I think it's like it's okay to be dissatisfied here.
So
I feel a belonging in this way.
they embrace your grumpiness. It's normal to be grumpy in Vienna.
Yeah.
It's normal to complain
And I don't enjoy that either, but it makes sense.
because no one's enjoying it. So there's a
Conceptually,
feeling
yeah.
of solidarity.
Conceptually, it's making sense to be here.
Yeah. I think I experienced so much of this here. And, it can lead to good things, like the feeling of dissatisfaction, like this general complaining. Like, I feel like the culture here is so good at it that they get things done because of this. Like, there are some sort of Austrian, like, artist rights. Like, artists get funding or more funding because people complain so much that the politicians finally have to do something.
Oh, it's like the prison thing that they just send them some books.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I totally respect that because like I come from the culture in Poland, like we just learn to live with obstacles. Like we learn to accept and push through and be hard and just clench your teeth and
Yes.
just go on.
Me
and
too.
and that is
As an Estonian, it's like I'm living in a wonderland here. It's just like, wow, it's all like, I still feel like this foreigner, like back in the 2000 when I left Estonia, and life was like better here. But actually, it's not that life is so much better here, but more like the attitude is that life doesn't have to be hard. That I find like amazing, because for me life is still very hard, but around me people don't seem to be struggling as much. So yeah, it's weird.
But as a foreigner, do you still struggle, right?
Yeah, but also as an Estonian, I have like this inborn like
You crave
way,
struggle.
Like I need to struggle, or otherwise I feel like I'm not doing a good job.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Like I'm doing like way too much. Like I feel like the system here is designed to embrace the weaker ones and to like give them an equal opportunity.
Yeah, and also we're almost in Italy, and it's okay to enjoy life. You know,
Yes.
sometimes, but that's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, do it. I mean, like there are times where I think like, oh shit, I struggle so much, but then if I did the same amount of work in Poland, like I would probably not get anywhere in that specific profession that we chose, which is like super absurd to do in general. But here it's possible. So, and even this podcast is possible thanks to the Austrian support, which I'm so grateful for. It is amazing.
Yes, 3 cameras.
Free,
It's quite
freaking cameras.
quite something.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Yeah. Performance therapy. Like, how long does it take to develop a project for you? You said the other time 4 years applying. I think the pet project took like forever to become its final form. Like, how long does it take for such a? Because you think like conceptual. I mean, I'm sorry to categorize you as a conceptual art, but from my perspective, from my very simple understanding, is some kind of conceptual art. Like this kind of conceptual performance art is, it's just one idea, you think, and I'm just wondering, like, how long does it take to reach the final form?
Well, I don't know if there is a final form at all, because we also just move from one gig to the next. But at first there's the idea. Maybe for me it's always easier to work when less money is involved, and I hate that it's that way, but I usually come up with
That's the Estonian thing.
it's probably
Polish the same.
East European way of like, okay, if it's a lot, then I have to work, like make a good work, and that is not good. And so usually I come up with like the most great things that actually live to be something when I have nothing to lose, or let's say 200 euros to win or lose. So that's when I don't lose the sense of fun in the work.
I have it when there is like a limited amount of time. Like if I have like a week to do like a 20 minutes long choreography, I'm so productive and so, creative and so on.
But someone even said, like, as a thought exercise, imagine you had an unlimited budget, and if you start thinking, you will actually not be able to do anything, because what the hell is that going to be if you have unlimited budget, and you will like never be satisfied with the project. So yes, limitations are really great for my work.
What always stressed me? When there was like this immaculate, beautiful, clean, white studios, and in like most of the Western countries, like the studios are perfect. So you go there and it's like you enter and the view is great, and you like, and the walls are perfectly white, and the floor is perfectly flat, and then you think like, oh, what should I do now? Everything is done,
And you cannot even complain. And so that's, yes, I have a huge anxiety for studios, so much so that I haven't been in a studio for years now, and I don't own a studio. I don't also try to avoid them.
Anxiety of
Maybe
studios.
again, that's maybe I don't know what that is, but yeah, I'm with you on that one. we're doing very different works, but maybe
It's,
not
it's
that
a
different.
Eastern European perspective
Mm-hmm.
on making art. So where do you get most inspired? Where is like I can say for me, and I grew up in those pretty fucked up blocks of flats, those high rise
Mm-hmm.
sort of Corbusier idea dormitories that are not Corbusier ideas at all, like just a lot of houses next, like a lot of flats, like
Me too.
11th floor.
Me too. 10.
Nice.
No, 9. 9.
Nice. It gives you a lot of view on the other blocks. uh, it just makes you feel so small. This is where I find most ideas. Like if I see something like decaying, distraction, ugliness, architectural ugliness especially, like then I feel like, oh, this could lead to an interesting movement idea, or this could lead to an interesting choreographic structure. Like this is where I feel inspired. Whereas like if I walk through Vienna, I love Vienna for some reasons, but not for like the inspiration, like here I can just be walking and like everything is so nice.
The whole city is like a
It's
white studio.
beautiful. Yeah, exactly. It's like the permanent white studio. I just always have to get away somewhere, and then I can come back, with a set of ideas or set of movements. But I have to go out in order to get even inspired. But how is it for you?
Yeah. I guess probably same, because it's indeed here the budgets are often like too large, and it's just like oh,
Please
God.
don't say it on air. The budgets
take
are
that out.
too low.
Too
Wiener
low, they're too
Perspektive, the
low.
budgets are too low. We need more money.
They are. Let's say there are many ways of working, but I myself find it hard to work like a year or two in advance. And so for me, inspiring is when it's like, can you do something for next week? So that's why I'm going to the comedy club, because that's literally next week. And
That's a
it's so
challenge.
easy to come up with 5 minutes.
So you have to book yourself? You have to register somehow for
Yeah,
this?
you go to the Facebook and you write spot please in the event,
Yes?
and that's how you get on,
Okay.
and that's it. Then they tell you like the order, and you show up. Maybe you get a free beer, maybe not, but yeah, it's
Nice.
very simple.
Love it.
Very transparent. And otherwise, I explained before, like inspiration is not really something that I have. But I guess I'm mostly, let's say, usually the works come out of the struggles of making the project itself. So it's always kind of self-referential, or at least that's what's like speaking to me. Otherwise, I feel like I'm doing a service, but I like that it's also a service to myself.
So you said that you feel like you're doing a service. My question is, how can you, regardless of all this, what we are just talking about, how can you be useful to the others as an artist, regardless of the fact that maybe it's not obvious? Like, because if I wanted to convince someone that does not believe in, the role of an artist, like, how can you just explain to them, or like, what is your own personal strategy to still contribute to the communities or the societies?
Well, one thing is how I would explain it to that person. The other one is like what I actually do.
Tell me both.
Both, okay. I think if I had to explain it to someone, it would I think it would be just if someone like has to giggle a little bit and just to like I demonstrate how to resist or avoid doing something. No, this isn't. I don't actually know. But let's say I want to demonstrate that I'm really
Resilience.
just doing whatever I want. That's what I want to demonstrate. It's really hard to actually do, but then that's what the artists that inspire me most have done for me. I'm like, oh wow, okay, if that person is doing that, then I can also be myself, and that has been very
That is
nice.
very
And who doesn't want to
inspirational.
be themselves? So that okay, I think it's actually one answer. Like yes, it's just to be like yeah, it's okay to be yourself and fuck everything else. It's fine.
Actually, this relates to something that my best friend just told me once I, went to study dance. Like I still remember this very day. Like I mean, he was fortunate to be passionate in something that brings a lot of money. He's a programmer, but I was passionate in dance, and he told me when I went to study dance that he he loves the fact that I was committed to this idea, that it was inspirational, that you can actually follow your dream. And I think this is, for him and for other people, I think this could be very, very big. Actually, it's not something small, like, because a lot of people, they don't dare to do what they want to do.
Or they don't know what they want, like in my case. And also for a long time, I also even resisted the idea of self as
Career on
what
some
is
other level.
that? But so this is like for those that could not relate to having them a self or a passion. So then I think it's a minority. So I don't appeal to a huge crowd, but still there might be some people around that are similar, and maybe that would be helpful for them.
And how does it contribute? Like, so there was the explanation,
Okay.
right?
And then they would be inspired and also feel like that there's nothing wrong with them, or that it's okay that there's something wrong with them, or whatever. Like I don't
So
know.
it is a
You
it
just
is a
feel more like
societal therapy.
yeah, you feel like you're not alone. I think probably that's the end goal.
Right. I
In the
mean,
end, you are alone, but still, it's a good feeling.
you just contradicted yourself. So are you alone or are you not alone? I mean,
don't
if
know. There's
you're
no way to
alone,
know.
you're alone, but there are others like you, and you might be able to relate with them, which will make you not alone.
It was slightly too long as a sentence to follow, but yes, it's almost also like contradictory, but art is contradictory.
Especially your kind of art, I would say, which I do really appreciate. As I said, any kind of subversion. I mean, unless it's a totalitarian subversion of democratic system, but any kind of,
Good that you
subversion
put that in.
of, let's say, the strict rules, I really appreciate, because it just makes the life interesting, isn't it? And I think it's an opportunity to grow. I think. I or if not, then it's an opportunity to discover something else. Then eventually grow. Do you grow? Do you develop yourself ever? I mean, you just said that you just for half a year been learning to just make a very specific sound. It's a kind of a way of self-improvement. I was wondering if there are some other programs.
Fa 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 fa. No, I don't even know if I can do it still, but okay. Self-develop, maybe like therapy is self-development, right? And also therapy is very mysterious, and in a way you go through it and then you realize like, wait, actually I was there already when I started. So it's very similar to art, I think. it's not in my understanding. Therapy isn't about actually improving oneself, but more like just like a journey, and also like seeing oneself, or who knows, it's not clear at all still, like what is going on. So I don't like necessarily appreciate the idea of progress or becoming better, because I don't think I have. And
So you think the idea of getting better is not always a positive idea?
the idea of getting better is a constant, and it actually never happens. So
So you
in
don't
that
think
way,
we get better?
we always just want to get better, but we are never going to get there. So therapy is like kind of helping at least me to be like, yes, I can relax sometimes. It's like I will always want to be better, but I will not make it.
Wow, this is so opposite to what I believe in.
Really? What
I
is
mean,
it?
because
What do you
like I
believe in?
have so many practices that reinforce the idea that getting better is possible. Like whenever I'm like, because for example, I practice new movements in breaking or tricking, like new flips or new acrobatic things. Like these are clear things that just make me think that I'm getting better.
Okay, but that's tricks, of course.
I'm
Maybe
getting
that's
better at
different.
certain movement
But
skills.
as
My whole life I've
person-
been getting better at certain movement skills. So in a
until
way,
you're a certain age, and then
I mean, there is no, like, so far from me, like,
so far it's
there
good.
hasn't been a limit. And I don't believe there is a limit.
But there is, because you will necessarily get old at some point.
Well, if I die, there is a limit. But until then, allow me to get better every day. But you don't believe in the idea of getting better.
Well, I think you do get better, but mainly the wish to get better will not change. So there's the constant.
Okay, so the you're deconstructing the want, the I want to get better, like,
And you
as
can't change that also, but it's just more like
to not
maybe
always
like
act
that's the
upon it.
anti-progress side of getting better. Like, of course, I also get the thrill out of learning something or doing something, or feeling accomplishments. No, that's like a big part of our life, and it's great. But also, like, it's like we are actually robots in a way, just thriving on the feeling of getting better.
I mean, it is. You could argue that this is like what the society wants us to do. Like society wants us to progress in order to make
What do you see when you hear the word society?
pressure.
Just pressure, but as
Well,
an image.
Was as an image. I just see all this. Yeah, I see the people, and then I see those people being trapped by rules. Like when I think society, I think rules, and those people just like, being told what to do and how to act, and all this, like, also social rules, like the unwritten rules, like how you should approach other people and so on. Like I see that here you shouldn't, put your legs somewhere, or here you shouldn't do
But
that,
yeah,
or
but
here you should
basically we are
say hello.
society.
Yeah,
What are you saying?
yeah. And we have all these things, that rules, and some of the rules I totally agree with, because it's a negotiation. Like, okay, I'm not gonna do this, and then you're not gonna do this, and therefore it's an agreement. But some rules are really too much. Like, many rules are too much. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I see when I think society. It's a system. I think it's a system. Okay, maybe one more thing. Tell me, as an Estonian living in Austria, for others that maybe are on a similar path, or maybe on are just like striving to be who they want to be. Like, if you would have any advice.
Oh, giving advice is one of my favorite things.
Wonderful.
But it's kind of hard to give it to anonymous group of people.
How about
Imagine
a
it as
young
group,
artist?
young group of artists, or
Young
group
artist,
of young
a
artists.
certain artist, one artist.
Just one artist. And okay, so my advice to you is, no, I cannot give an advice just out like abstractly like that. But I just
Okay,
wanted to say,
what do you
like,
want from me? A young artist, like
are you a young artist?
fuck this.
Are you a mid-age artist?
I am a young artist with a burnout and midlife crisis.
Yeah, that is what a young artist is usually. Okay, now I can think. I think it's well, one thing is like it's hard. How long ago did you graduate?
I graduate few times. The
But the
last time I graduated was 7 years ago.
Okay, so you have maybe one more year where you feel like you don't have a burnout anymore. Because it's about 8 years that you have to keep doing what you're doing until everyone starts to respect that as that is what you're doing.
Do you base
Not
it upon
everyone.
your own experience?
No, I base it on like certain stories and what people said. But whatever you do, even if it's really bad, if you do it long enough, people will respect that. And also in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 people. So it will not matter so much. Like, it's not about appealing to everyone. But, you'll have your 15
People.
hardcore fans that love you and what you do, and that's really good. So yeah, I think that's my advice.
So basically survive one more year. I think you're a great motivational speaker. Do appreciate that.
You can do this.
You know I will do this. I'm Polish. Like, even if I hate what I'm doing, I will keep on doing it. Even if I don't believe in it.
I somehow
I
feel
love the
like
suffering.
yes, I feel like you didn't need this advice and you just asked for the sake of the podcast. But so I also think that you'll be fine even.
No, I have a slight. Maybe I'll be even fine if not in not being fine, because, as I said, because of being Polish, Eastern European. Maybe I even enjoy not being fine, unfortunately, by some kind of default traumatic programming from our, heritage. But
it might even help you like make more better material, possibly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it might be beneficial for the society, the fact that I'm just killing myself doing it. But
They're not killing, but suffering.
yes,
Yeah.
well, yeah, killing as in metaphorical
okay.
sense, But yeah, I think, as I said, like, just to circle back to what we were saying, there is a dark humor in that, and that I derive pleasure from. Just looking at myself suffering while trying to do what I supposedly love. Just looking at it, it's very funny, because it's just so much suffering for the thing that I supposedly love that it doesn't always really work, or most of the time it doesn't work. So most of the time I'm doing something that I hate, and then in itself is funny, and then that I derive pleasure from. Just looking at how funny this is.
So now you got me curious. I want to see what you actually do, because this is not what you actually do.
Well, this is what I actually
This
do.
is what you do right now.
This is my conceptual art, and my and Marcin's conceptual art, which is here with me.
Hi, Marci.
But no, of course, like, please, www.bodyarchitects.eu, or you can check our traveling vlog at vlog.bodyarchitects.eu. This is what we do. Yeah, we have like a little dysfunctional dance company, if you are interested, and we are non-touring especially for the last 2 years. We're so non-touring. Like, we have like this. It's amazing. We're like every year, like every 6 months, I'm changing the date. There is in our schedule like date to go to Taiwan, and Taiwan, since like 3 years, stays closed, and there's like you can't enter, and like
But you still had that as an
but
option.
we still
which
have
is
this
cool.
option, and we still want to dream about going. The same with Costa Rica. Like, we're
Oh my
like on
gosh.
our peak of touring, and then of course, dark humor of life. Just yeah. Anyway, this guy is stressing me to finish.
Okay, but now you gave your website, so I gotta give mine. right?
Please.
So that's
where do we find you?
My website was last updated pre-corona, so
It's new.
that's
No, it's
long
old.
time ago. Where I
So
last
we
even
should
was
go there, but we should not judge the web design.
You can judge it all you want, but I'm just saying there's nothing. It's still pre-corona times, and there isn't any tour dates or nothing like that. But it's www.wordpress.no. First it's kr66t.wordpress.com. And also you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, and in real life sometimes. I guess that's it. And I do not have a newsletter and all that stuff. But I'm very approachable though. Like,
Awesome.
I'm not rude.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
thank you very much. This was really nice.
Yeah, it was really nice for me.